Christos Anesti. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. We come to the bright days of the Holy 50 days after the resurrection, where we remember Jesus being with the church, the risen, glorified Lord, being with the church for 50 days, or 40 days to be precise. And he comes in, goes out, they go out with him, they go places, they eat, they drink. And this chapter especially has something very, very profound and also deep, and it's almost like a mystery that happens. Of course, it's a difficult passage to read because it's a different situation. What you would consider as a fairy tale, people consider it as a fairy tale, something unbelievable. That someone had you witnessed die, and in a very painful, very shameful way of death, and everybody knew that he was dead. And the same 3 days later, on Sunday, he comes and shows himself to them alive. But how is he alive? Nobody knew. And how is he able to go through closed doors? Nobody knew either. Why did he what he had done, especially after the resurrection? This we can think about. It was not written explicitly. So there are questions around the resurrection, many questions, very few answers, which gives you the feeling that we are transformed from a very expected humanly life to a life that's beyond our expectations, beyond what meets the eyes, beyond what can we handle. So there is certain things we can get, and I will go through some of that. Today we are in Thomas Sunday, and Thomas Sunday is the day that complement last Sunday. Last Sunday, it seems like the Lord had not shown himself in between. He just came on the resurrection Sunday night, evening, and showed himself to the disciples, and he's coming again to see them on Sunday also. That's why the gospel today, it started from the eve of Resurrection Sunday. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut, where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews. And here you have a sense. Why were they assembled in the upper room? They became known now as the disciples of Christ. So the disciples were afraid. They will have the same fate as Jesus. So let us hide and close the doors. I like this sermon given by Saint, I told you about it once before, Saint Pachomius, one of the fathers of the monks, was given a sermon one time, and one of the people who attended the service and the sermon was Saint Theodore, who later became his disciples. This sermon touched Saint Theodore so much that he left everything and became a disciple of Saint Pachomius. What did Saint Pachomius say? He said that Jesus took, in the past, he took the Jewish people to become his holy nation. He said, "You are my holy nation. I'll dedicate you to be my priests, kingdom of priests." But then he took the Christians out of the Jews. He didn't take them out of the nations in the beginning. He took the disciples out of the Jews. What would he mean by that? And he separated them. You know that we call our Holy Week Pascha, Passover. Why? What is in it that looks like a Passover? What is in our Holy Week that looks like Passover? Everything, actually. I'll tell you one thing for definite. By the Holy Week, Jesus went into a great scandal with the Jews. He made himself an enemy of the high priests and the Pharisees and the leaders. He was an enemy to the degree that they had to do what? To kill him and get rid of him. So by him becoming a scandal, a very controversial person, and being killed, he puts his followers in the same predicament. So all the disciples now are at enmity with the Jews. So what did Jesus do really? So to the degree that Peter actually had to deny him. He said, I don't know this man, because he knew what will happen if he gets to be with him. What will happen? They will be killed, because the Pharisees and the leaders wanted to get rid of this whole business of Christ, everything about it. So what did Jesus do to the disciples? Think about it. What did he do? He knew what he was doing, every bit of it, every detail. He was planned, understood, and was accounted for. What did Jesus do? What Saint Pachomis is talking about. He took them off from the Jewish community. They don't belong to the Jewish community anymore. They don't. Okay, how is that like the Passover? Like Jesus in the past, taking the Jewish people out of Egypt to become his holy nation. So they had to be taken out. Jesus again is taking out his people out of a holy people, consecrated to God. They had the temple, they had the sacrifices, but to make them what? What St. Pachomius said now, I'm keeping it to the end. So if the Jews were the holy people, what would the Christians be? The holy of the holies. That's the most sacred people for God. They have to be more consecrated, more holy than anybody else. That is a Passover. That is a Passover. So Jesus is considered by the apostles the Passover. St. Paul would say this. He's saying to the Corinthians, now, he says, let us celebrate our feast with the unleavened bread of sincerity, because our Passover lamb, Jesus, was killed. Okay, so he speaks a very Jewish, in a Jewish manner. He's saying, when the Jews celebrate the Passover, they had to take all the bread out of their houses. Every year they do that. They take all the leavened bread, the yeasted flour. And he says, let us celebrate our feast, the resurrection, with the unleavened bread of sincerity. Means no malice, no sneakiness, no double words, no bad intentions, no evil heart keeping things inside of it. So this is it. Jesus became our Passover. And now we are actually the Holy of Holies. And we should work very hard to keep our hearts clean by all measure, because we are celebrating a new feast. So what is Jesus doing after those days? He comes and goes. I like to say this to the kids. He plays hide and seek. Jesus in the 50 days playing hide and seek. But here is something St. John's saying very profoundly. He says he doesn't come on any day. At least for the first 2 Sundays, he comes only on Sunday. Only on Sunday. Okay, Thomas was not with them on Sunday, the first Sunday. Why would Jesus wait 7 days to show himself to Thomas? Because Thomas came on Sunday or Monday, and he said to the disciples, okay, what's up for dinner? They said, dinner? Don't talk about dinner. We've seen him. He's alive. He is resurrected. And Thomas said, no, don't believe you. None of it. I'll not take anything like that. Unless I do what? See him with my eyes, touch him with my hands, put my fingers in the nail, put my hand in the side of the... Why is that? Why is that, Thomas? He says, you most probably all are hallucinating. You have a mass hallucination. Or you've seen a ghost. It happens. People see ghosts. It's okay, you know. But if I touch and I put my finger in the places, I will make sure that this is actually the real body of Christ. So they didn't know what to say. Of course, like you see, you get somebody in your family or your friends saying, I don't believe you guys what you're saying, and I don't have that faith. And then you're going to say, I can't do anything for you. There's nothing you and I can help. If the apostles couldn't help Thomas, can you help anybody? You think you can? The whole group of apostles, Matthew, John, James, Andrew, the big guys, all the big guys in the church could not help St. Thomas. Do you think you can? I can't. I personally can't. So nor angels even can. So what would happen? What would need to happen for Thomas to believe? Is to see him, touch him, feel him, and know that he is truly alive. So Jesus waits Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then comes on Sunday. Why? Have you ever asked about this? Why would Jesus wait 7 days and comes to see Thomas in the same spot? He doesn't see him outside when Thomas is running errands. Or maybe he did. Thomas didn't know him. The Gospel of St. John says it was on Sunday in the upper room where he showed himself the first time, where he washed his disciples' feet and gave them his body and blood. It was Sunday that Jesus showed himself to Thomas. And there Thomas felt him and touched him, and he confessed, "My Lord and my God," and he worshipped him. Why? Why would Jesus do this? And why is this hide and seek? St. Mary Magdalene sees him on the tomb, and she says, "Oh, this is the gardener. Let me ask him where he put him." That would take Jesus to speak to her in a tone that she realized. "Mary," he said. "Miriam," he called her. And she realized that was him. But then when? After a long discussion with tears. And then when she's trying to get him and to touch him like Thomas wanted, he doesn't give himself to her. Just, "Don't touch me." And then he goes to, the same day after he finished business with Mary Magdalene, he goes with 2 disciples of Emmaus on the same day, Sunday. They walk with him 8 miles. 8 miles. It would take you many hours to do that. And through those 8 miles, Jesus doesn't show himself as Jesus. He pretends he's a stranger. They look at him, they don't realize that he was him. And they talk to him, and with ridicule, actually. They're ridiculing him. He said, "Why are you sad?" They said, "Sad? What are you talking about? You've not been in Jerusalem. You didn't know what happened." He said, "What did happen? Are you the stranger, the only stranger in Jerusalem? Are you living by yourself? Nobody had told you?" And he said, "Tell me." Wow. And they start telling him about him. They tell him about what happened to him. That is actually funny. And Jesus patiently waiting, and then finished. Then he started talking about the prophets. What did the prophets say about the Messiah? Tell me again. And they would tell him, "Well, what we remember, this, and how about that from Isaiah? He was led like a sheep to the slaughter." And he started to explain to them. By the time they reached Emmaus, it was like sunset. They said, "It's too late. You didn't eat anything through the day. Come with us, let's eat." So they go inside the house generously. As custom, they give him to make the blessing. He bless, and he breaks. As he breaks the bread, as he is breaking the bread, their eyes are open and see him. And he gave them and disappeared. Completely disappeared. So why is that? Mary Magdalene realized him, doesn't touch him. The 2 disciples realize him, he doesn't continue with them. They ran back to the upper room. It was night time. And after they reached the upper room, finishing their stories, Jesus appears in their midst. What is the point, people? What is the point? What is Jesus trying to do with this all mysterious hide and seek business? And also with this Sunday, that he has to be on Sunday. What's that? It is, now you should realize this, it is in the church that Jesus is felt, touched, and tasted. But it has to be in the church, and it had to be on the Lord's day, Kyriaki, the day of the Lord. And this is the church. Jesus intentionally is transitioning his church from being visible as a human form to being the mystery that we all partake of on Sunday. And that is it. We are going to realize him and to be strengthened by him in the Eucharistic mystery, in the Eucharistic appearance. So this is what Thomas Sunday is telling us, but it also tells us there is a great danger if we avoid the church. There is a great danger. Some people, and I show this many times, one of the most popular YouTubes, I don't know how many YouTubes would get 30 million visions. Do you know of anyone more than that? 30 million views. It's a song that says, "I love Jesus, I hate the church." Do you think Jesus would be happy with some statement like this? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But which church he's talking about? So the church where Jesus is given as a Eucharist, as body and blood, Jesus will never, that he died for the church. He died to give us himself as in the Eucharistic form. That's why I think it's very important to understand it is actually a sin to not be in the church when we should be in the church. It is not the church's belief or faith to have any activity going on while the Eucharistic prayer is going on. That's not something the church would approve of. Once there is a church gathering for the Eucharist, we all have to be here, to be assembled. And this is the word that's going to keep coming in the book of Acts from now on, where the disciples were assembled, means brought together. The body of Christ is coming together. And that's it. Anything that contradicts this, so the church says, the Eucharist is not the only thing for the church. It is the heart of the church. But the heart is the heart. It's not the whole body. So the Eucharist is where the heart is. But then everything else feed off the Eucharist. You start with the Eucharist and then go do everything else. Anything else without the Eucharist is dead. Anything to substitute the Eucharist is dead, whatever it is. Bible study, preaching, feeding the poor, raising the dead, you name it. Without the Eucharist is useless, So let's be careful. That's what the Gospels today is talking about. When you come to doubt, they say there are 3 types of doubt. 3 types. One doubt is called ignorance or informational doubt. Ignorance. We had not been taught. We don't know how to think about it. That's number 1. The second one is called emotional doubt. It can't be. Like people would say, how can there be a God and there are like abused children or innocent people being killed? How can there be a God who can do everything, who is able to do everything and watches things like this happening? That's called emotional doubt. It's so hard for a person to believe. And then the third one is called volitional doubt. And the volitional doubt says, if I believe that there is a God, I would need to change my behavior. And I'm not ready to do that. So I choose to deny. And this is the hardest. This is actually, volitional means willful. This means a person is interested in keeping God out of the picture because they cannot change their lifestyle. When we talk about Thomas, you can think of Thomas as the informational doubt. Like he needed to know more. He needed to have an experience. And this is what I refer everybody to. Instead of giving them, when you see somebody having a hard time believing or understanding, you tell them to ask the Lord. Ask him. If you are interested, the Lord will show himself to you. It happens all the time. With the emotional doubt, they need to understand certain things. That's very important to understand that the Lord himself and St. Mary had to go through very hard times. And there is a great equalizer at the end. And that great equalizer is heaven, where God is going to do the opposite of what's happening on earth. Anybody who got hurt on earth, God is waiting to give them a reward. By the way, poor people will have a best place in heaven. Those who help poor people will share with them. That's what Jesus is saying, and the apostle said that. Sick people, people who were treated unfairly, who died young, all of those will have a reward in heaven by merit of their suffering on earth. So if we are not part of their lives and helping them, we're not going to have a part with them in heaven. That's what Jesus said. And the volitional one, you pray and fast for them, and that's it. There's nothing else you can do. A person who lives in sin doesn't want to leave his pleasures or whatever he has because it's something that he needs very bad. I don't think I can do anything for them but to pray and fast. That's it. But the other ones, there's stuff to do. Glory be to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, now and forever.